Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're breaking down this incredibly effective remote development tech stack. It's basically designed to save your hardware from the absolutely crushing burden of modern AI coding agents. You know, if you're building software right now, the landscape has just completely shifted under our feet. Our tools literally have to evolve to keep up.
So let me ask you this. Is your laptop literally melting right now? Because if you've been running endless terminal tabs and AI child processes locally, I guarantee you felt the agony. The constant reboots, the skyrocketing fan noise sounding like a jet engine, and just completely drained batteries. We're dealing with workflows that have suddenly become unbelievably resource-intensive. And it's mostly because we've got all these AI agents running in the background, spinning up child processes that, let's be honest, sometimes go totally rogue. You're installing endless new apps just to test things out, and before you know it, your primary machine is bogged down, cluttered, and basically begging for mercy.
Okay, to fix this, we're looking at a massive paradigm shift. We're moving away from this super fragile local setup, right? And we're moving towards a remote setup that actually lets you just close your laptop, walk away, and keep your agents running securely. By moving all that heavy lifting off your main machine, maybe you put it on a dedicated Mac Mini, a home NAS, or even rent a cloud server, you instantly preserve your battery life and keep your local environment totally pristine. Suddenly, your laptop just transforms into this lightweight window into an incredibly powerful, persistent, and fast remote machine. You can even pull it up on your phone while you're at the gym.
Here's the blueprint for this explainer. First, we'll hit the local dilemma, then networking securely, local HTTPS and routing, editing and multiplexing, and finally, the future of inputs.
All right, Section 1, the local dilemma.
So the sheer instability of modern local development is what's really driving this massive change. Developers are getting so incredibly plagued by rogue background processes right now. It's gotten so bad that Apple actually added a reboot after power fault checkbox in their latest macOS beta. Why? Literally just to keep remote servers alive when you aren't physically there to press the power button. Think about that for a second. We have these work processes that are now totally detached from when we are actively interacting with the computer. You prompt an agent to do something, and you absolutely need to be able to close your laptop and just trust that the agent is still working. The whole industry is waking up to the fact that we need hardware that manages itself while we're away. The modern developer is just no longer tethered to a single active session.
Moving on to Section 2, networking securely.
Okay, the primary goal for this layer of the stack is connecting everything seamlessly, but crucially, without exposing your private work to the open internet. And networking has honestly become incredibly simple lately. Instead of remembering all these complex IP addresses, you can use Tailscale. Tailscale securely lets you ping devices by super simple names like Mini or NAS. It's basically like a private VIP club just for your devices. You install it on all your machines, and it links them together using the WireGuard protocol under a secure local mesh. The best part? It's completely free for up to 6 users. Like the source material pointed out, that is literally enough to give your dog network access if you really wanted to. You just open up your terminal, type SSH your username @Mini, and boom, you are instantly and securely connected.
Now you might be wondering about alternatives, like Cloudflare tunnels. While those definitely exist, they can be a total headache to configure. Plus, they're essentially designed to poke holes out to the global web. That makes Tailscale the hands-down winner for a simple, local-first ecosystem. With Tailscale, your traffic stays entirely inside your own private network. So, say you want to run a web app locally at a.robo.online. With this setup, literally nobody on the outside internet can reach it. It just gives you this total peace of mind, completely skipping the headache of managing complex access control rules.
Let's jump into Section 3, local HTTPS and routing.
So now that our devices are talking to each other seamlessly, we need to make sure those connections don't just randomly drop, right? And we need our browser APIs to actually function. Enter Mosh. Mosh is absolute magic. It completely solves that notorious dropped connection problem. You know how when you use standard SSH and close your laptop lid, your connection just instantly dies? Well, not with Mosh. You can literally slam your laptop shut, walk down the street, open it up at a coffee shop on a completely different Wi-Fi network, and your remote terminal is just right there waiting for you. Zero lag time reconnecting. For a mobile remote first workflow, it is a total game changer. Okay, next up is Caddy. Why do we need it? Because modern browser APIs, things like webcams, microphones, and even local storage in browsers like Safari, they will completely break if they don't have a secure HTTPS context. Caddy is a web server that fixes this by letting you route custom local domains with full automatic SSL certificates. You can spin up a project, tell Caddy to route it to tips.localhost or ai.robo.online, and it instantly proxies those specific ports while giving you that crucial secure context. Basically, it means you can test everything on your phone or tablet locally, and it will behave exactly as it would in a real production environment.
When picking a router for a stack like this, a lot of folks point to Vercel's portless, but Caddy really is the superior choice here. Why? Well, for one, it's incredibly mature and battle-tested. But honestly, the coolest part for the modern developer is that AI tools already know exactly how to write perfect Caddy files for you. It's just super deeply ingrained in their training data. Contrast that with these experimental tools where the configuration languages are brand new or hardly ever updated. Yeah, you quickly realize why relying on robust, established software is an absolute lifesaver when you're building out this kind of infrastructure.
Which brings us to Section 4, editing and multiplexing. All right, so the network and routing are completely locked down. Now, how do we actually interact with our code once we're in? The key is seeing how these tools chain together. The daily flow looks exactly like this. First, you mosh into your remote machine straight from your terminal. Then you fire up the Zeddy text editor. Zed has this incredible built-in remote SSH support, so you can seamlessly browse and edit remote files as if they were sitting right there on your local hard drive. And finally, you take all your long-standing tasks, like your AI agents and local servers, and you run those inside a terminal multiplexer.
And when it comes to multiplexers, Herder is completely changing the game. It is the ultimate upgrade from traditional tools like Tmux. Why? Because it gives you this persistent visual sidebar so you can instantly see if your AI agents are blocked, if they're running, or if they've finished. Before this, developers were just constantly tabbing around between like a dozen different terminal windows, just trying to figure out if an AI needed human approval to keep going. Herder pulls all of that status monitoring into one clean, simple UI. It saves you an immense amount of time and cognitive load. Actually, this brilliantly illustrates a really funny trend happening in the developer space right now, the MUX wars. I'm not kidding, there is quite literally a variation of a multiplexer for nearly every letter of the alphabet. You've got Tmux, Gmux, Zmux, Smux, and even tools like Dmux. Dmux is really interesting because it's specifically designed to manage multiple AI coding agents operating at the exact same time inside isolated Git work trees. It's kind of like packing cubes for your code. It keeps all your different AI experiments neatly organized so they don't completely mess up your main project. But yeah, all these tools slightly overlap in features, and they're all racing to solve the exact same remote UI problems.
Honestly, the sheer saturation of these multiplexing tools perfectly encapsulates this huge critique of the current tech landscape. We are absolutely drowning in incredible, highly specific developer tooling, but we are completely starving for actual end-user products. You know what I mean? Everyone is just so hyper-focused on building the perfect terminal environment to manage the agents rather than actually using the agents to build the next great app for consumers. It's a pretty fascinating bottleneck in the industry right now.
All right, last up, Section 5, the future of inputs.
This entire remote agent-heavy stack is completely rewriting how developers actually physically input commands. 3. That is the exact number of pedals on the Elgato foot pedal that developers are currently using to cycle through their AI coding agents and trigger voice dictation macros. Yep, you heard that right, a literal foot pedal. It runs on the exact same software as the Stream Deck, so devs are setting up physical macros for their feet. You just tap the left pedal to jump to the next agent, tap the center pedal to activate voice dictation and speak your prompt, and then tap the right pedal to hit enter. Crazy, right?
Between managing packing cube-style Git work trees and literally tapping a foot pedal to talk to an AI, the standard keyboard and mouse are just no longer the only way we write code, and it extends past the desk, too. When developers are on the go, they're using tools like the Termius mobile app. Termius puts this highly customizable macro bar right above your mobile keyboard. It makes jumping between workspaces and pinging your agents on a tiny touchscreen remarkably efficient. The whole physical interaction model of software engineering is just undergoing this massive, bizarre, and honestly wonderful transformation.
So as we offload all our heavy computing to remote setups, using Mosh for persistent connections, Caddy for local routing, Tailscale for secure networking, and Herder for agent management, our local machines are basically just becoming lightweight, battery-efficient panes of glass. And with foot pedals and voice dictation rapidly taking over our prompts, it leaves us with one incredibly provocative question to ponder. How long until we stop